while we bring up the podium here to have our next set of presenters, two even younger leaders from the local community, I want you to think about, after their presentation, we're going to have a discussion with the group here. And I want you to please think about how you can interact with them, what kind of questions you can ask about their projects and what they've done in the past years in encouraging these models for community organizing, for bringing interfaith alliances together, and for making sure that there's positive community networks where they are. Next, I wanted to ask Dean Hathout and Gregory Walsh, locals to the area from Flint Ridge High School. And Dean and Gregory have done something that's a model for young people across this country. They put together a project in a local high school, and they realized some of these challenges. They looked at the issue of Islamophobia and perceptions of American Muslims. So what they said was, we're going to come together in our high school. We're not going to worry about the broader community. We're going to start with our high school. Dean and Gregory put together a survey of how their fellow high schoolers perceived Islam and Muslims. They gave out donuts to get people to fill out their surveys. They engaged individuals, and they put together a project called Countering Islamophobia, Opening Minds Through Education. Two young individuals. They entered the fair that judges a lot of these contests, and they got the #1 prize for impacting their community. And when they got the #1 prize, the best part of it all was they donated the prize money to MPAC, of course. And so I want to ask Dean and Gregory to come up and talk a little bit about the type of project that they put together, and then we will continue our discussion after. Dean and Gregory.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon all of you. We're here to tell you just a little bit about this project that we started last year, and that inshallah we will be continuing in the community about combating Islamophobia. I think for anyone who doubts that Islamophobia is a real, genuine problem in America, I think that the events surrounding this convention and all of the hate mail that All Saints Church has received should really put that doubt to rest. And I'd like to turn your attention to a 2010 Time magazine cover story that asked and answered the question, is America Islamophobic? And I'll leave you with one of the main opinions that was stated in the article. Quote, Islamophobia has become the accepted form of racism in America, end quote. I would like to introduce my friend and partner in this project, Greg Walsh, who I credit Greg with starting us in this good work. He is a devout Catholic, and he is the one who came to me concerned about what was happening to the Muslims in America.
Thank you, Dean. In September of 8th grade, on a radio show called This American Life, I heard a troubling and distressing story about a young Muslim girl named Chloe, who was popular preceding the event of 9/11, but afterward was bullied by her friends, or so-called friends. Her entire family faced hate and discrimination. This story opened my eyes to something I hadn't paid much attention to before, and when I started looking into it, I realized that this was not an isolated incident, but in our nation today, even among some of its highest officials, there is a genuine problem with Islamophobia. And let me give you just a few examples. On an interview on Cal Thomas Radio, Attorney General John Ashcroft said, Islam is a religion in which God requires you to send your son to die for him. Christianity is a faith where God sent his son to die for you. Another, Representative C. Saxby Chambliss, chairman of the House Subcommittee on Terrorism and Homeland Security, said, just turn the sheriff loose and have him arrest every Muslim that crosses the state line.
And it turns out that these statements are actually very representative of a pretty broad segment of public opinion. And to put it very broadly, about half the population thinks that American Muslims may be a security threat, and that's the half that actually likes us. I'm just kidding, of course, but there are some very troubling statistics. So as for the general public opinion, in 2010, a Time magazine poll showed that 28% of voters did not believe that Muslims should be eligible to sit on the US Supreme Court. The same poll showed that about 1/3 of Americans believe that Muslims should not be allowed to run for president of the United States. And in a Cornell University study, about 44% of respondents said that they believe that some curtailment of civil liberties is necessary for American Muslims. However, what both our research and our project showed is that Islamophobia, like most phobias, is a curable problem. And let me tell you, let me just tell you about some statistics in general, and then Greg will mention some specifics about our project. So, the best method of correcting Islamophobia is through education. In a 2005 poll on American attitudes toward Islam and Muslims, the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CARE, found that almost 60% of respondents said they are not very knowledgeable or not at all knowledgeable about Islam. When people learn about Islam, they have a positive view of it. This was shown by a 2005 ABC News poll that showed that among Americans who feel that they understand Islam, 59% call it peaceful, and 46% think that it teaches respect for the beliefs of others.
Our project showed two important things. First, even though Islam has become a very hot topic in the media, most people, even coming from the top school in the area, seem to know very little about their religion. And 75% of them seem to get their information from mainstream media and news headlines. Most of them would rate themselves as not very knowledgeable about Islam. In fact, just last week, I heard about a major research project that surveyed hundreds of thousands of articles in the media and found that they gave an overwhelmingly negative impression about Islam. We decided to see if we could change that negative impression through education among our peers. Dean and I, with the help of MPAC, put together a brochure and presentations about the religion that did cause a significant change in student opinion, and we have some samples of this brochure to share with you during the break. However, what our results also showed is that even though there was a significant improvement, our short campaign still left a majority of minds left unchanged. And that means we still have more work to do.
And as we do this work, we do it with hope because we know that we are in very good company. There have been many high-profile voices of support, and I show you but two of many. I was especially touched by this first one you can see here. Colin Powell said, "Is there something wrong with being a Muslim in this country? The answer is no, that's not America. Is there something wrong with some 7-year-old Muslim American kid believing that he or she could be president?" And let me just say, that there is no greater source of hope and no greater support than the partnership that I have with Greg, and on a bigger scale, the courtesy and the fraternity that All Saints Church has shown to us today. We will never forget that love and support. Thank you very much.
Can we please get another round of applause for these young leaders? It's amazing. You know, people were talking about they don't necessarily want to see a Muslim run. I see the 2036 ticket right there, President, Vice President.